Ukraine is bringing the war to Russia. The scale, scope, and intensity of this campaign are greater than ever before, which could have consequences for ordinary Russians, perhaps not on the battlefield, but in their minds and wallets. Foreign Policy writes about this in its analytical article. The author notes that since August, Ukraine has been redoubling its attacks on Russian oil facilities. Bread lines in Russia have now given way to gas lines. The Russian oil refining complex is a crucial source of war financing for Moscow. Experts claim that Ukraine has yet to disable half of Russia's oil facilities and destroy 38% of its refining capacity. This figure is significantly inflated. Sergei Vakulenko, a former top manager at a Russian energy company and now a senior fellow at the Carnegie Russia-Eurasia Center, called such figures nonsense. The publication adds, "The truth is that Ukraine was able to strike targets located up to 2,000 kilometers deep inside Russia. But the more important question is what exactly Ukrainian forces are trying to achieve," the author believes. Russia has recently intensified attacks on Ukraine's gas infrastructure, whereas previously it had primarily targeted power plants. Therefore, retaliatory strikes are a logical step. But what is the purpose of such actions? Vakulenko believes they are an attempt to inflict pain on the population, the Russian economy, and hinder the Russian army by creating fuel shortages. However, he believes the third potential goal will not be realized. As for the Russian economy, the Ukrainian strikes serve one purpose very well. They limit Russia's ability to refine crude oil into higher value petroleum products. This means Russia is simply shipping crude. This generates less revenue and the country exhausts its port capacity. But it still accesses global markets, especially given that Russia's shadow tanker fleets are operating at full capacity, the article explains. According to Craig Kennedy, a Russian energy expert at Harvard University, outstanding loans to Russian oil refineries rose to nearly $14 billion in the 12 months ending July 2025. The expert suggested that this sudden surge could be explained by the urgent need to purchase new equipment from China to repair the facilities. Ukraine's offensive against Russian oil refineries may not have been entirely successful in forcing the Putin regime to capitulate. But when it comes to petroleum products like gasoline or jet fuel, the attacks still have some significance. The author writes, in 1940, during the Battle of Britain, Spitfire pilots had a secret weapon, American-made high-octane aviation fuel, which allowed them to defeat the Luftwaffe. It wasn't so much a breakthrough in oil refining as a breakthrough in chemistry, but small things can make a big difference when countries are at war. Ukraine is gradually chipping away at these advantages, the article states. Vakulenko argues that Ukraine has not yet achieved its goal, but the attacks have grown from a minor inconvenience into a serious problem. The next step will be whether Ukraine can sustain this, or whether Russia can deploy effective air defense everywhere, he added.
Explosions and thick smoke were seen over the Gaza Strip on Friday as Israel and Hamas prepared to implement the first phase of the peace plan. According to Associated Press, Israel's cabinet early Friday approved President Donald Trump's plan for a ceasefire and the release of all the remaining hostages held by Hamas, a key step toward ending a ruinous two-year war that has destabilized the Middle East. A brief statement from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said the cabinet approved the outline of a deal to release the hostages, without mentioning other aspects of the plan that are more controversial. An Israeli official, speaking on condition of anonymity in line with regulations, said that, according to the agreement, the ceasefire should begin immediately after government approval. The Israeli military now has 24 hours to pull back its forces to an agreed-upon line. The broader ceasefire plan includes many unanswered questions, such as whether and how Hamas will disarm and who will govern Gaza. But the sides appeared closer than they have been in months to ending a war that has killed tens of thousands of Palestinians, reduced much of Gaza to rubble, brought famine to parts of the territory and left dozens of hostages, living and dead, in Gaza. The war, which began with Hamas' deadly attack on Israel on October 7, 2023, has also triggered other conflicts in the region, sparked worldwide protests and led to allegations of genocide that Israel denies. Some 1,200 people were killed in the Hamas-led assault, and 251 were taken hostage. In Israel's ensuing offensive, more than 67,000 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza and nearly 170,000 wounded, according to Gaza's health ministry, which doesn't differentiate between civilians and combatants but says around half of the deaths were women and children.